All right, we're joined by Ian Machado Garry again. Ian, how's it going, man?
I'm awesome. Excited to be here. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to come and chat to me about how good I am.
Yeah, obviously it's been a bit since we talked. I think it might have been like after the Gabe Green fight. So for you, like kind of since then, it's kind of been a roller coaster for you, like getting into the top 15, like becoming a ranked guy. Like, what has the past like 2 years kind of been like for you? Because it's been a pretty active time.
Jesus Christ, the last 2 years of my life have been an absolute roller coaster. And I mean that in the best way possible. I've been living out of a suitcase for 2 years, traveling the world. I signed to the UFC and I haven't stopped traveling. And I've just in my mind, I've just broken into the top 10 and dismantled the guy with the most wins in the
Mhm.
welterweight history.
It,
It's insane, and I'm not done anytime soon. I am putting my foot firmly down on that gas pedal, and I am going, 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 because I'm not aiming for just success. I'm aiming for the moon, and I need to keep going, and I need to keep this momentum going because I know what I can do, and I know what I will do.
and then like it hasn't even been a full 2 years since your debut, and like here you are, 6 fights, like 6-0
Yeah.
in the UFC, like a top 15 guy, like finishing a lot of these guys. Like when you first signed to the UFC, did you think you would be like here this quickly and this soon?
Yes, I did. Yeah, 100%. I I'm aware of everything that I know I can't look. I'm destined to be one of the best of all time. I know what I'm here to do, and this is just a journey to that top. And I'm embracing, enjoying every second of this journey. And I know where I'm gonna go, and it's exciting. And the speed that I've operated
Mhm.
with, the way I've fought, I've changed so many things in my life to be able to turn around and fight and compete so quickly, back to back to back. I've had fights in 5 months.
Mhm.
I'm gonna go again in November, December, whenever Wonder Boy accepts that challenge, because I believe he will. I'm gonna fight Wonder Boy in November or December, and I'm gonna fight 6 times in 8 months, and then I'm gonna go again in the new year when we bring them back to Dublin. I'm not gonna stop. This momentum is exciting. This hype is exhilarating, and I'm gonna make sure that every single fan feels the same energy that I feel when I'm excited for a fight. And I'm gonna put on a show.
Before we get into the Magny one, I did want to touch on obviously Jeff Neal. Like that fight, I thought made a lot of sense. I thought it was going to be a very fun and entertaining fight. Like I know you were already getting into the trash talk with the mug shot and everything. Like how disappointed, frustrated were you when you got the call that he was out? Because it was so close to the fight that you don't really know if you're going to get an opponent.
Yeah, I was pissed. I was pissed because I was excited to go out there and finish him. I was excited to go out there and put on a show for the fans, and finish Jeff Neal the way I knew I could. So, look, I believe I won that fight with a T-shirt, selling a T-shirt online and posting his mugshot. I won that fight. I got so deep in that man's head that he pulled out, and then my attention changed to Neil Magny, and I went down and I did that to Neil Magny on 10 days' notice. Guys have had weeks to prepare for Neil Magny, and he's gone out there and made it a dogfight. He's gone out there and shown and implemented his game plan. I went out there in 10 days' notice and absolutely destroyed it.
And then with Neil, like it didn't seem like there was any trash talk or like dislike until the media day. Like, is that really when it pissed you off and like really kind of made it like you really wanted to hurt him?
I didn't want to hurt him. I wanted him to feel what the other side of justice feels like. The words that that man muttered at the UFC press conference was absolutely fucking ridiculous. And he should be ashamed of himself for ever muttering the words about raising a hand to a kid or bragging about raising a hand to a kid. So when I got to the meeting, when I got to the press conference and sat down at that desk and someone asked me about him, I couldn't not, as a man, as a person, speak about what he had said. I've just had a child, so I'm a protector for life now. I have to protect and grow this little being that I created into his own little man and help him along the way and help guide him. And I would be fucking ashamed of myself if I didn't call out Neil Magny for what he said. I would be ashamed that my son seen that and didn't see that I commented on him. That's what got me emotional about it. Is I thought, you're a real fucking piece of shit to be stood on a stage with a mic in your hand, bragging about how you've got accustomed to whooping your son's ass. Your son's fucking 3. You should be ashamed of yourself that you ever said something like that. So for me, that's when it got a bit personal. That's when it got a bit emotional. And that's when it was actually the next day. I woke up and me and my wife had a conversation. And I'd been saying 8 minutes, 8 minutes, 8 minutes, 8 minutes. And it was the next day when I woke up after that press conference and I said to my wife, I'm going to drag this out for 15 minutes. I want Neil to go home. Neil went home on a pair of crutches or a wheelchair. I don't know yet. But for sure, his leg is absolutely fucked. So he's going home and he's thinking about his leg and how much pain it's in. I hope that man sits down and thinks about the mistakes he made in his life and the stuff that came out of his mouth this week, because all respect was lost for that man the minute he spoke about beating a kid.
Are you surprised with the reaction to it? Because it seemed like no one really cared about it until you started bringing it up.
The reaction about it, I'm not worried about other people's reactions. I can only control myself and my reactions. And the truth is, I felt so strongly about the words that he said because of the fact that I've just had a child. I was sat down watching his press conference and my son was crawling around the floor and I was livid with the words that he said. I was more upset that none of the media at the UFC mentioned it or brought it back up. And I called him out after the press conference when I won the fight. I said, I can't believe one of you didn't pick that up. None of you picked it up. And I said, if any of you agree with his point, come see me afterwards. Because there is no situation, no circumstance, no reason ever to raise a hand to a child. And if you do, it's because you can't parent your child properly. Everything that you think you can do with a hand or a belt or a wooden spoon or whatever will be done, whatever way you want to do it, can be done way worse with words and coming down to someone's eye level and explaining to someone how much something hurt or how that's bad or how that child may feel about you doing something wrong. There was never, ever, ever, ever any reason to ever raise your hand to a kid except bad parenting.
And then in the fight, like you said, you wanted to drag it out then. Were the leg kicks part of the game plan? Like going into the fight, is that something you just saw open kind of right when you got in there?
So a lot of people think that Neil couldn't check the kicks. He didn't have an opportunity to check the kicks because of my movement and my speed. So whether he wanted to check the kicks or not, he didn't have a choice because I strategically step in ways and I dance. And when I dance, he physically has to move. When he moves, I counter. And it's on that moment that I take his balance and I take the speed from my body and generate it into his. I know how much they hurt. And I landed about 40 of them on him. I promise you, I reckon I broke Neil Magny's leg that day. And I'm absolutely delighted about it.
And then obviously didn't get the finish, but you did want to drag it out, which is exactly what you did.
But I did get a 30-24.
Yeah, which I was about to say, I was just checking before this. I'm 99% sure the last time was Khabib against Barboza.
Which was 7 years ago. It's been 7 years since we've seen a domination in the octagon like what I did on Saturday night.
So for you, I know there wasn't a finish, but how happy are you with that performance to put on that dominating performance of a guy like Neil?
People talk about this finish. The truth is, I went out there and had so much fun beating him up. I had so much fun in that octagon. And I put on a show for the fans. And absolutely, the finish is always something that we look for. But if someone wants to be too tough for their own good sometimes, then I have no problem dragging it out and whooping your ass longer. I have no problem making sure that when you go home, you're going to regret the fact that you didn't throw in the towel. You're going to regret the fact that you didn't quit, because I am going to absolutely maul you. So for me, I'm not thinking about the finish in that octagon. I was thinking about fucking justice and giving that man a hiding that he deserves for the words that come out of his mouth. And yeah, justice came in a 6'3" Irishman. So yeah.
And then, are you surprised like he didn't quit on the stool, or the corner didn't throw in the towel at any point? Because he was like hobbling on one leg at points. Like it looked like he really had enough of it.
I'm not surprised one bit. I'm not surprised one bit. And I'm so grateful that he didn't throw the towel in or he didn't quit, because it made my night so much more fun having an extra 5 minutes to whoop his ass.
Mm-hmm. And then, like, still no marks on your face at all after your fights. Like, do you think that that's even like not getting noticed? Is like you barely get hit and you went 15 minutes. Like, not many people don't get
6
hit.
fights I've had in the UFC. Go look at every single all of my 6-fight post-fight photos that I've taken with the UFC media. Not a fucking scratch in any single one of them. My defensive game is unquestionably amazing. And it's instinctual. I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to plan it. I just move and I go. And my offense is absolutely unrivaled. And the people are just going to see. I beat Neil Magny with a couple of weapons. I didn't have to show everything. I didn't have to put my foot down on the pedal and hunt for a finish. Because that's when Neil Magny gets like sand, like quicksand. He'll just grab you, hold you, and make it a dogfight then. I clinically mauled him. And I look this good. Do you know what I mean? It's a perfect performance.
And then one thing I do want to give you credit for is that open workout, which you don't really see many fighters do. Like, I had some of my friends like send me the video on Instagram. They're like, "This is so cool. He's doing this like night before the fight." Like, when did you kind of get that idea to do it? And like, is that something you're gonna keep on doing?
Yes, 100%. We got the idea the week about 2 weeks before the fight. I said it to my team. I said, "You know what would be really fucking cool? If we hold like an open workout and get the Irish contingent and all the UFC fans that are going to be present, if we get them excited." So when's the biggest time all of these people will be in one area? Ceremonial weigh-ins. They want to see everyone the day before the fight. Right, after ceremonial weigh-ins, I'm holding an open workout. And I guarantee someone's going to copy me very, very soon because it was so successful. But 100%, I'm going to make sure that this is a consistent thing. And they're going to get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And eventually, to hold a fucking open workout, we might need to start hiring a stadium of our own.
And then you obviously called out Wonder Boy after the event. Dana said he turned it down, which like I'm not sure if that is the case. But so do you think like he will end up accepting and that will be a fight he's interested in? Because to me, he's been saying he wants to fight strikers. He doesn't want to fight the wrestlers, and there's no better striker to fight than you right now.
He said it a while ago about he'd be willing to fight the Jack Della Maddalenas and the Ian Garrys of the world. Well, Ian Garry just called him out. Ian Garry just set the stage. All you have to do is say yes, call up the bosses, tell them when you want to fight, and I'll see you there.
Are you hoping that is this year? Like whether it's I know they want an MSG. I know you said the taxes are high, so like would preferably be December in Vegas.
I would much prefer December in Vegas, but it's his choice. Let the UFC decide when they want it. Let them see when Wonder Boy would be happy to fight, and let me go out there and just do what I do best, which is fight.
Is that a fight? Like, I know just on pay-per-view it'd be 3 rounds. Like, would you prefer to have
5
that?
rounds.
You would want that to be 5 rounds?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's like a fight like a lot of fans get excited for, because like even for me, like most pay-per-views, I have my friends over. It's not too hard just saying like, "Oh, watch this." This one's going to be a pretty exciting.
100%. Me and Wonder Boy will put on a show for the ages. I believe that the striking that will be on display will be some of the best we've ever seen as a competition. And I believe that that will be one of the fights over 5 rounds. I believe that it will be a longer fight. It will absolutely go into the 4th and 5th round, I believe, because of how much of a tactical chess game it's going to be. But don't you think for 1 second that me and Wonder Boy aren't going to pull combos out of our tool sets that absolutely have every single person in that stadium on their feet. It is going to be exciting. It's going to be exhilarating. It's going to be pandemonium and chaos when that fight happens. And I'm excited for it because it's going to happen. I promise you.
And then something that did catch a lot of people by surprise, which I actually think makes a lot of sense, is you're saying you're in no rush and you want 4 fights. Like, is that just something that you and your team talk about? Because like you are a young guy. Like there is really no rush to get to the top if it's now or in like a year or two, anyways.
No, it's me. It's absolutely entirely my decision. There is nobody. If we're out here playing a game of chess, I'm not a pawn for anybody.
Mm-hmm.
I am a king. I will make my own moves when I decide to, and I will make sure that all the other pieces move around me.
Mm-hmm.
So, for me to be the best ever, or to be considered the GOAT, I need to continue to grow my skill set, and I need to continue it by proving it against some of the best. Now, a lot of people haven't seen my grappling; they've only seen my striking, but they've only seen my striking because I've only needed to use my striking. Yeah. That's the beauty of this. I've been able to shut people down with strikes. I've been able to shut everybody's wrestling down. Nobody's taken me down. Nobody's got me into a grappling exchange. When they do, they're going to see how good I am. And I'm excited to prove my grappling. I'm excited to prove my jiu-jitsu against the likes of Usman and Colby, for example, who are the two best in the world other than the champion. So let me go in there in a couple of months after I beat Wonderboy. Let me get one of those guys as the headline for UFC Dublin. Let me show the world just how good I am. And let me put on a clinic of what mixed martial arts looks like. Striking, grappling, wrestling. Let me show you how to mix it all better than anybody. That's what I'm excited for. And that is why I want to wait. That is why I want this slower build-up, because it gets the hype train going even more. It gets the excitement for when I eventually fight for world title just that much more special. And it builds up the fan base to the point at which every single person who ever wants to see me lift the world title is just shouting from the rafters, get this man a title shot.
That was my next question. You sort of answered there. Like you are a guy that thinks like ahead. You're a guy that thinks 20 moves ahead. So like you said, Usman, Colby is Dublin. Like are those kind of the two names that you'd want to be that headliner fight against?
I don't care who the headliner fight is against, but why wouldn't it be exciting to have one of those guys?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? Look, I believe 3 of my next 4 fights, I don't know who the other guys are, I have to see it, but Wonderboy, Usman, Colby, and there'll be one other guy in there, and then I'll earn my title shot eventually. But that's 2 years away from me.
Mm-hmm. And then for you, like with Jeff Neal, like is that a fight you're kind of past now, and like you wouldn't be too interested in rebooking it?
No, he missed his opportunity. I signed the contract. I showed up on the date that we agreed. He didn't. I beat him with a T-shirt, and somebody else stepped in his place. And no, absolutely not.
Just final thing, like there is a lot of welterweights at your gym. Like, is that ever a concern of like having like Shavkat, Gilbert, of like what happens if we have to fight each other?
There's a lot of people in the top 15 and in the top 10. It's not just my teammates. It's not just people I've trained against. If that's the case, I wouldn't fight Wonderboy because I've chatted and I'm friends with Wonderboy. If that's the case, I wouldn't eventually, inevitably, if Leon is still the champion, fight Leon because he's a friend of mine. I've trained with him. No, it's not an issue. But the truth is, I can absolutely try and weave my way around people that I know and friends of mine if I absolutely want to. But the truth is, all I'm thinking about right now is Stephen Wonderboy Thompson.
Well, Ian, I appreciate the time as always. Thank you so much for doing this again.
Thank you so much. Have a great day, Cole.